Everyone, how's it going? It's a Saturday. Uh, well, and it's doing that number. This is a site that I don't normally show. The site you're looking at is, you see that? Yeah, and look at it. Okay, what you're looking at there is, well, make a long story short, rain mixed with sleet with some snow on top. Yeah, it's snow. So, obviously what happened was just exactly what they said in the weather report. We were going to get rain, it was going to turn into snow later throughout the day, and that's exactly what it did today. Great, and not so great. It made things pretty slick. You see that? Yeah. Yeah, that's just my walkway. You should see the rest of the world. It's one of those things. You live in a climate like this. It's warm and then it gets cold, and it's warm and then it gets cold, and eventually the temperatures will get to the point. Forgive me. Eventually the temperatures will get to the point where it will be so warm that even when it gets the coldest, we're not going to have this issue. Eventually, we'll get into spring. I'm walking around the deck so you can see it. I mean, right here's a good example. You see how the water froze along the edge as it was raining? Yeah. And like you can see that everywhere. Now, I don't remember exactly what, oh yeah, here's another good spot too. See that? But, for every bit of rain, yeah, I think it's like twice as much snow. So, yeah, we could have really been dumped on. So basically, the more rain we got, and I know the sleet's bad in that, but see, the sleet is more compressed moisture, so that would have been even more snow on top of it. So, and I don't know, they actually got a formula. There's a formula for it. For every inch of rain, there's so much snow. I mean, there's some kind of formula that goes with it. But and I'm not real good at that. But and look what it does to the trees, though. This is the sad part about it. You see that? Look at that. It's an ice coating over the trees. That's the sad part about it. Because when the weather gets warm, the trees want to come out of, hibernation or whatever they call that, where they kind of basically sleep for the winter. And then when they feel the sun and the moisture starts coming down, they think, oh, it's time to start growing again. And then they freeze again on top of it. It can really, really, I mean, look at it, all the way along. But yeah, that's the bad part about it, is what it does to the trees. And of course, what makes this kind of deadly now, besides making icy roads, is the fact that power lines, I don't know if you can see the power lines, but the power lines actually got a coat of ice over the top. I don't know. Yeah, you can't even see my neighbors. But that's the bad part about this time of year. We in South Dakota have had ice storms to where it literally would blanket out almost the entire state for power lines because our power line's above ground, Not in all areas, but in most. And you get that extra weight of the ice and snow and all that on top of those lines. And because of what first of all, the lines are made out of, plus what they're connected to, it just rips them down. With the trees and the shock to the trees and the extra weight, it causes branches and things like that. And I'll tell you, I've seen personally and seen in pictures and everything else of 20-foot trees, at least, ripped out of the ground. I know that sounds amazing, but it's anybody that's been around in this kind of environment has seen it too, or bigger, just because of the extra weight. That water gets on the branches, and besides breaking branches, depending on how the tree is growing, it can literally just rip them right out of the ground, roots and all, just fall over. With that, having above ground power lines, yeah, there's a great chance of that stuff taking out power lines and stuff like that. So yeah, the state does go without power certain times of the year because of that. And like I said, not all, the entire state. It's not like, wow, it's completely black, the entire state of South Dakota. No, it's just in like certain areas they'll get hit. And then, of course, the electric company's got to go out there and try to patch things up, get the stuff off the lines first of all, patch what lines they can, and reconnect stuff. It's not as easy as when your charging port for your phone goes bad. You just go buy another charging port and throw it in, and boom, you're good to go. Or your power cord goes bad for your phone, so what do? You just go to the store and you buy another one. It's a lot more in-depth than that. And I know I condensed it a lot when I said, oh, they just go back and patch it and put the new line up. No, it's a lot more than that. I've watched them do it, and because it's happened in our area. And so, yeah, it takes a while. It takes a while. Sometimes they can do a quick temporary fix. And I say quick, you're talking clearing off the line can take easily a couple hours. You're talking getting the line pulled tight so that they can get it to where they can move the line up. Plus, you got to make sure the power shut off to the line to start with. I mean, it's a huge process, okay? Easily for one line could probably take a half a day, 6 hours, It's not an easy, and those are easy jobs, easier jobs. Could easily take 6 hours to repair a line. Now, if it's something simple where something just bounced off the line and ripped it off the pole and pulled it out of the transformer, well, then they just shut off the power to the transformer, run the line to the transformer, reattach it to the pole, which could take a matter of a half an hour, and have the thing back up in 2 hours. But not everything's always that easy, It's a difficult process when you're talking power outages and power lines and things like that. And that is the only drawback, real major drawback, because then you're talking this time of year too, you're talking temperatures are low. You're talking still really cold and windy and everything else out. So it's not like, oh, I'm just going to, just because the power went out, no big deal. That means also in some cases people lose heat. To lose heat to your house when you're talking 0 degrees or colder can mean the difference between life and death. It really can. Like I said, that is a major drawback to this time of year. The streets are just one of many. Every time I see this, it does look pretty. It looks absolutely beautiful. I am thankful that it's not 2 feet of snow. But in the same aspect, I just pray that nobody dies, because people can die in this stuff. Uh, I'm concerned about, people losing power, because there are people that go around and jack stuff, steal it when power goes out, because they figure, oh, it's a free shopping spree, you know. So that's another issue. Loss of life, car accidents, it's loss of stuff. I mean, it can be very bad. The only real good point is when this weather starts happening, spring is around the corner. Eventually, the temperatures are going to stable out. The only major thing I could see that, and I know it would cost them a fortune. Boy, would it cost them a fortune. But the only suggestion I could do or would give would be put all the power lines in the ground. But that is a ton of work. It really is. It's a ton of work to maintain. It's a ton of work to put them in. You've got stuff growing. You've got construction going on. And how do you make it to where you don't have to replace the line as often? It's a catch-22. Do you spend a ton of money to do it, and then you end up having to spend money as the time goes on, or do you let it go and then basically hope and pray that, with the bad extreme weather, that you're not having to fix and replace things every other week? It's a tough thing. It really is. And I'm glad I'm not on a board where I have to make those kind of decisions, when it comes to the electric company. Because it's tough decisions, I think a lot of the new construction, they are focusing more in putting it in the ground, or finding ways to isolate the electrical use to a confined area. I think they're trying to focus more in on separating it so that you only got one little area to go out, instead of the big, huge, vast area. When the power goes out, you're talking miles and miles and miles. I think they're trying to isolate it more, which is a move in the right direction. It really is, rather than having everybody go without power at the same time. And another tough thing too is if you're one of the emergency responders. The elderly, little kids, animals, and the rest of us need to find shelter when that stuff happens. So then there's got to be shelter there. You're talking a city of 160, 170,000 people go without power. Where the heck they all gonna go? Where's your backup plan? You know what I mean? So I mean, when you're talking that huge amounts and you're talking the possibilities, there's got to be a lot of things that come into play, and you just got to be thankful that, like with this one, power didn't go out in our area. Not to say it hasn't in others, but nobody that I've seen or heard about yet died. Nobody really lost their life, so that I know of. And so we made it through another ice storm where the potential was there. The potential was there for extreme conditions, Just got to be happy and thankful that, our area wasn't affected, people in our area, and then you have to have, like, precautionary things. What are you going to do if it does happen? Power goes out, what are you going to do? Roads are icy. What do you do? The roads are icy. It's real simple. You either walk, go slow, or don't go anywhere at all. I mean, you can't get much simpler than that. Walk where you need to go. Go extremely slow if you're driving, or just stay at home. It's when you start adding combinations of icy roads and loss of power, then you're talking emergency evacuation of areas. People having to go pick up other people because of what's going on. So, but long story short, I'm probably going to cut this short because of everything going on. I'm working tomorrow morning, so I'm going to be up quite early at like 5 o'clock. Yeah, it's only really, it sounds like 5 a.m. Sounds like, but compared to what I normally get up anyway, which is probably about, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes later, it's really not that big a deal. But, it's about the same amount of sleep. I'm just starting work sooner rather than having to go driving and to go spend all that time running around. I'm just basically going to go straight to work and start my work day sooner. My day is probably going to start about the same. So, but yeah, I'll have to show you during the day, saying I get done soon enough, to how beautiful it actually looks, with the trees having ice and stuff like that in them. It really does look beautiful. You ever get a chance to take a look at some pictures, by all means do. It is beautiful looking. As deadly as it is extremely beautiful. And this is a beautiful time of the year. Transitioning from one season into another. And we do that all the time with our lives as well as the weather. So sometimes the transition's always a gradual one. Sometimes it's more abrupt. And sometimes it's the same thing in our lives. So here's to a season of transition. And hopefully it's not always as drastic. Okay, guys? Hopefully if you're going through a transition in your life, it's a bit more subtle. Anyway, have a good one, guys. Like I said, I'm going to call it quits, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll get another video out there, and I can let you know how work went. It'll be fun. Anyway, have a good one. Bye for now.